question time. I love it. No.
With that being said, I don't think that I have enough to.
What makes you say?
Well, because I don't think 60 grand is not enough to start rehabbing or wholesaling.
Well, if you get hard money, let's say the house is 100. You buy hard money, you got to put 10% down, or let's say 15% down. That's 20,000. You need 10 to get started. That's only 30. What makes you say you don't have enough, brother? And even if you don't, we always say, how can we do it? You got credit cards. I mean, shit, you got to make a way. You got to make a way, dog. Right?
You're right. And I guess I'm just trying to find the best way to utilize the money that I'll have access to. I don't know.
Yeah, send them a letter, brother. With the address? I ain't doing it. You can. You gonna need the address?
I got it. 51 Rivercrest. Right. How come you wouldn't do it?
It's not Rivercrest. It's 51. Oh yeah, it is Rivercrest. Hold up, drive and oh, it goes around like that.
How come we don't
Devin,
like it?
I do like it. I'm not thinking about real estate. I mean,
wow. I'm sorry.
Real estate.
I
love real estate, but I got.
Well, Chris, I need.
to do.
Let me just do this because you keep jumping around, and I know you.
I'm not jumping around.
Not jumping around. You're not jumping around. You keep going on all these other forms of income and everything. So tell me right now, I'll have, let's say, and you blowing my mind right now.
What, man?
Because the 100,000 I was going to put in my self-directed, I didn't account for that to be used in investing in any way, like investing in the rehab wholesaling side.
What were you counting on it for?
I was going to, as a private investor.
I mean, that's
a private money lender, or use it to, I don't know, I'm throwing stuff out there, cryptocurrency or whatever.
Whatever.
So I had that separate.
Okay.
From my little bit of money I was going to have to start real estate. And a little bit of money is like 60 grand. But with what you're saying, I don't necessarily have to have that separation.
I wouldn't. Here's the thing, man. I am in the stock market, right? A little bit. But every time I look at my numbers, I'm like, why am I not doing what I know how to do? It's real estate. I'm running from it. I'm just like you, looking for the next shiny thing. I'm human.
Right.
But when it boils down to it, my expertise is real estate. So
why don't you just maximize what your expertise is?
That's what I do, yeah. I use my IRA to the max. We buy houses, we construct houses, I loan money to other renovators,
Chris,
all type of stuff.
I need you to, and that's what I want to tack down, because for what you're saying, instead of me having 100,000 for my self-directed separate, and let's say 60,000 for my quote-unquote wholesale rehab business, you're basically saying that I could put 160 into my self-directed and use that for.
Well, if you put it in there, then you won't be able to get it out and spend any of it, though. It'll all be.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's. But there's another thing. There's another one I'm gonna tell you about. It's called the inherited IRA. But we ain't ready for that.
All right, we're not ready for that.
Let's leave that alone.
So put together a business idea or a business concept for me that would allow me to use and fund it. That will allow me to use stuff as a private investor, private money lender, but also pay for marketing and XYZ for a wholesale / rehab. What would that look like? What would that look like?
So marketing, let's say you got 2,000 a month, right?
Is that enough?
Looking for leads. I'm just throwing out a number.
All right, so okay.
And don't forget, you can partner, man. You gotta.
Hey, I'm willing to partner with somebody I trust. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind, dude. Let's see. Okay, let's think. Starting off, I just like pay-per-click, man, because you put the money in, leads come, and it's over.
So you wouldn't even think about doing direct mail?
I do some direct mail.
Right. But most of it would be pay-per-click.
Oh, man. My mentor says if you can find a spouse online, you can find a house online.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it's just so much easier. You go home, you got leads in your inbox, call them, go see the house, buy it.
Okay.
It's the craziest shit I've ever seen, yo.
Okay, pay-per-click. So that's my number one thing I want to start tacking down on.
I mean, that's just, I'm not saying that's number one. That's one thing. I want to drive by this house we did a couple years ago. Y'all, I'm going to show you. Go ahead, I'm listening.
All right, let me ask you this, Chris. I need you, I know you're a wealth of information. I know you're trying to do the best you can to not be biased or
I don't want to
put what you feel. This is why I want you to think of when you're talking to me.
We did, y'all. Go ahead.
I want a blueprint that Kris Haskins would use if he were in my position.
That is.
And that's as far as
big.
expertise, experience, money, contacts. What would Kris Haskins do? The only difference is I want it to come from a point of a Kris Haskins that knows the ins and outs with your experience. So what would you do? What would you do? How would you do it?
Probably. Okay. Do you own any rental property yet?
No.
Well, let me rewind though. Why couldn't you work at your job and just buy rental property? You didn't want to do that.
I didn't want to do that, but I actually didn't think that I would be able to do it on a scale that I needed to.
What scale?
Because
when
you're working when you're talking about getting conventional loans, and
what's wrong with that? I'm not trying to blow you up, man. If I'm pushing too hard.
No, you're okay. I'm fine with it, man. Whatever. I just never thought about it.
Gotcha. Okay.
I actually never thought about that as a way to go.
That's cool. So, starting out, man, I got to be honest with you, man. Doing this stuff full time, like I've got rental. Even if I don't do any deals, we got rental properties that'll pay, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm not really focused on. I mean, I do think about transactions, but at this stage of my life, so let me rewind when I was thinking about only transactions. Is that where you at?
Yes.
Yeah. I would start out with pre-foreclosures. I still I haven't done it in a while because of the pandemic. I love door knocking. People be hating on door knocking. I love it because they ain't gonna do it. Pre-foreclosures, go right to the door. I'm telling you, man, I love it. I don't know why door knocking gets such a bad name. Also, do you have the Deal Machine app?
I do not anymore. I had it at one point and I don't.
It's like $500 a year, so that stuff works, man. Skip tracing people. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know if you had the wrong company, but I've seen a lot of dudes have success with cold calling. I have never done it. Mm-hmm. That's because we do pay-per-click. If you tell me you tried cold calling, we might need to get a different system. And tax delinquents. My friend Jason has a product. We'll show you how to pull the tax delinquents and turn yourself into a tax advocate as opposed to a I buy houses guy. We're going to implement that too. I really like that strategy.
Okay.
I would start there. If I had to start all over, which I would be so scared, but I guess I'd have to do it.
Yeah, at this point I had to do it. And I've thought about the tax delinquent. I actually contacted the city treasurer or assessor in Suffolk.
There you go.
I got the tax delinquent list.
Okay.
The only issue is Suffolk's tax delinquent list does not give you the person's mailing address. It gives you the property address that the taxes are behind on, but they don't necessarily live there.
You can't ask them to add that into the sheet for you?
I don't. I'm going to call him again, but I think when he told me that when they give the information out, they don't give the that I would not get that.
Okay.
I will call him again and verify, because that was the biggest letdown for me when I got the list. I was like, okay, I got this great list. But I said, wait a minute, these are just the properties. I don't have the contact.
It sounds like you have to do one step further and do a freedom of information request.
Yes, I did, because you told me that.
But still, he can't tell you what he can't give you, though, right?
Well, I don't think it said he can't give me. I don't think it came with. I don't think the city gives that part of the information out. They give you the address and the amount. I got the amount that it's behind. I got the address that it's behind. I got the name of the person.
Okay.
But I don't have their specific tax mailing address.
So all we're just talking about hurdles for you to get over, right? Mm-hmm. So if I was in that situation, I would get the list. I would scrape the ones that have the highest taxes,
right? And
I would give it to a virtual assistant and tell them to go to PropStream and pull each one of the mailing addresses and be done with it. Pay somebody $4 an hour. What do you take? 40 hours?
Dang, man.
Right? I don't know.
Why is something that's so simple that just escaped me?
Because entrepreneurs
it's so
have
simple
to figure out problems. There isn't, my kids have to eat. My wife wants a nice house. There is no, this can't be done. That's why, you know what, Devin? It's just something, being an entrepreneur, our minds, and I think you're at the beginning stages, our minds are always, how can this be done?
How can it be done?
As opposed to, this can't be done. And it's just a muscle.
Oh, I definitely get it. I've been an employee for a long time. trying
do
to
it.
transition. Yeah.
Can't do it. Okay.
Damn, man.
Get a VA, pay him $3 an hour. I don't know. Go ahead.
You're right. I mean, Chris, you're so right, because when I was sitting there talking to my brother, I was like, man, this is like 2,000, pages of information. I was like, I don't have the time to sit and look at each of these one by one, try to look them up. And I don't know why.
The ones with the little.
Right.
Don't
I told him, say, hey, we'll get a minimum amount and a minimum up. Yeah.
6,000, whatever.
And I was like, but in my brain, I was like, shit, I don't have the time. I'm not gonna have the time to do that. I didn't think, just like I didn't have the time to make phone calls. You know what I do? I hired a VA to make the phone calls.
There you go.
I'm an idiot.
No, no. We all have. When you're in it, you can't see it. I can't tell you, when I got foreclosed on my 3 houses, people were all around me trying to help me. Couldn't see it. Couldn't see it.
Okay.
So when you're in it, my mentor lost 13 houses, and I was right there the whole time. Couldn't see it. When you're in it, you can't see it. That's why people pay so much money for consultations and coaching, brother. All right, next question. This is good stuff. Partnering. All right, hit it.
Partnering. You find someone that you trust, and you want to approach them about partnering with a venture. How would that look?
All right. First thing is you have to have something called a joint venture agreement. You can download that below. There's a link to it. It's attorney drafted with my dog. She was an attorney, now she's a judge. So you gotta have a joint venture agreement. I'm doing one right now with a young lady from Northern Virginia. Every responsibility is outlined. Who's bringing what? Who's responsible for what? How much money are we making? Who's gonna pay this? Who's gonna pay that? What are you gonna do? What am I gonna do? Who's bringing the table? Who's bringing this to the table? Insurance. If you need help, if you need life insurance, all that stuff lined out so you know who's responsible for what. You're bringing 50,000, I'm bringing 40,000, whatever. So you gotta have a document, dog. You got to have a document.
I didn't have that with those guys, with that guy.
Yeah, man. We don't do any business without documents. That's how real estate lives.
So are you saying that the joint venture can look like, let's say I get a lead, and it's a wholesale deal that I think is going to be good for rehab. So it's 50,000 for the wholesale deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take another 40 grand
whatever
for rehab.
Yep.
If I bring the 50,000 for the purchase, I can joint venture. I can go to a joint venture agreement with someone to bring in the 45 for the repairs.
Oh yeah, man. Do it all the time. I love it. Those are my favorite deals, actually, because I'm in at this place in my life, I don't want to do nothing. I just want to write a check and get a check. You with me? I want somebody else to. I want you to manage it. How you doing? I want them to manage it. That's what we do. We buy it. My partner Ron fixed it all up. We split the money on the back end.
So you really just want to be a private investor, a private money guy?
Something like that. But I mean, I'm past the stage of having to be on site and making contracts. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I think you need to be hands-on, knowing what floor tile, hardwood floors, siding.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do some years on that, dog. So yeah, be the man that's in there helping manage it. I would do that, man.
Okay. What kind of
partners?
What kind of funds would I need to have available for you in your situation?
For me,
minimum.
I'm looking for. So I don't know if our partnership, you and I personally, I'm looking for guys that run jobs. I don't want to think about flooring, roofing. I don't want to think about none of that.
Don't the GCs do that? Mm-hmm. And so you just got to manage the GCs. Or someone.
You said just.
I mean, I'm saying one person, somebody's got to be in charge of make sure the GC is getting all this shit done with his subcontractors.
That's the guy those are the guys that I'm looking for. So you can be that guy, but I don't know if you're are you ready to put that on yet? Do you have those connections? Because it ain't like they do what they say. Mm-hmm. They don't come out and, you know that, right? You say, come do the floor.
Right.
And 2 weeks later, it ain't done.
Well, if
contractors, that's why it's called a con.
But that's why I don't understand. Why are you a contractor if you're not willing to do the work that you're being you're not getting paid?
I've been through shit, 50 of them. Yeah, they come and go. So you got to find the right guys. And
Okay.
I give up money on my partnerships for guys that know those guys.
I understand.
Because I don't want to deal with them.
Okay.
I've been dealing with them my whole life. And I'm like, I'd rather deal with money guys.
Okay.
So for you and I, on that particular, our relationship wouldn't work or unless you're going to run the whole job and you making sure it's all getting done.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that ability?
So if I know a guy that has contractors that he's worked with,
I would say for you need to be the money guy. You need to be the money guy, brother.
so I need to be the money guy for other wholesalers.
Maybe.
Or rehabbers.
Maybe. We're just talking.
Yeah,
man.
we're just talking. But you know what, Chris, it's funny because when you look online, I saw this somewhere, or maybe you told me, but the biggest buildings in most metropolitan cities are banks. I mean, the money is in the funding.
That's what. Yeah, that's where I want. That's where
so,
I live.
and that's kind of where I was going with putting some money in the self-directed as a private lender, because I was like, well, hell, the money is in being behind the money. That's where I want to be.
That's where.
And kind of like you, it's kind of hands off. So I'd rather just deal with numbers, look at a deal, see if it's gonna see if it makes sense, fund it, get my money back when it sells or whatever. I don't, necessarily. I'm not an expert. I'll say I'm not an expert in flooring and tiles and framing and going down to the city. I'm not an expert in those kind of things.
Man. Shit, I've been doing it since 2004 and I'm still struggling.
Mm-hmm. So being a private money lender, is that
you probably won't be able to live on that money, but it'll supplement your your flipping strategy, your wholesaling strategy. Mm-hmm. You got to have a lot of capital if you want to live off of it.
Right.
I'm saying you probably have to have about 700 or 800.
Okay.
If you want to just live off of your capital.
Right.
Because you got to get it constantly working. People think, let's say you do one house. Even if you were to buy the house, fix it up, and have it under contract to sell in a month or two, it still takes almost 2 months for your end buyer's loan to close. So it's not a fast.
Right.
It's not a fast turnaround.